A set of customers want to buy a policy on WhatsApp and few of them want it to be delivered by Swiggy, Zomato, Amazon. I'm not kidding, this is happening. So how are CIOs building virtual capability to serve the customer demands? Our next panel will highlight the key CIO bucket list, and Mohammed Ujale, Senior Special Correspondent, ET Government, has joined us virtually to make this conversation fruitful and lead it in the right direction.
Hello and welcome to ET BFSI Converge Virtual Summit focusing on rebuilding business digitally. As you all know, COVID-19 pandemic has been posing one of the most serious challenges faced by the economy in nearly a century. The demand for most of the sector has gone down. People are a bit shy in spending, and sectors which depends on one-to-one meetings for conversion and sales, such as insurance sector, they are struggling to generate new demand. Therefore, today I'm joined by 5 top technology leaders from insurance and BFI sector who will help us understand as to how this industry is mitigating the challenge of COVID-19 and what kind of product innovation they are doing it and what kind of resiliency they are bringing to this sector. I'm joined by Mr. Anand Pejawar, President, Operation IT and International Business at SBI Life Insurance. Ms. Kirti Patil, Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at Kotak Life Insurance. Mr. Baiju Joseph, Chief Technology Officer at Future Generali India Life Insurance. Mr. Sachin Goel, CTO and Digital Head, Tata AIA Life Insurance. And Mr. Rana Bishwas, Vice President, Insurance and Wealth Solution, APAC for Ecosoft. First, I'll go to Mr. Pejawar. Sir, you know, the pandemic is primarily, whether you are from insurance sector or from any other sector, the pandemic is profoundly affecting how people are engaging with one another across industry. Insurance is really not an exception. So tell us something as to how these changes are affecting or accelerating the technology agenda for the industry per se.
Very true. As you just mentioned, this pandemic has caught everybody, first of all, completely unaware. As you know, the first information of the death due to COVID happened somewhere around the 3rd week of January. And by the time India started taking the necessary precautions or actions to fight this COVID, it was already in the month of March. Insurance, and especially life insurance, is where March is the most busiest period in the entire year, financial year. And typically last 15 days of March in the financial year 2021 was almost a sort of a washout. Right. Washout in the sense what business companies were expecting in the month of March did not happen. So obviously we saw there were little growth because of the earlier growth that the companies had shown, but not the way actually companies had projected and were trying to look at it. This is a time when the entire thinking of the life insurance companies completely changed towards digital and IT infrastructure for 2 basic reasons. One is, as rightly said by you, this is the industry, or rather the only industry where it is more face-to-face selling, which is a traditional kind of sales, which has happened for so many years. And in this kind of a pandemic, from April, it was a lockdown, and the lockdown went up to 14 initially and then got extended. So people were completely unaware of how they should get around with the sales of this particular business. IRDA also proactively came and gave extension to all the policies which were due in the month of March for renewal, with a 1-month additional extension. So people who were supposed to pay in the month of March now got 1 more month to pay in the month of April and May. And this again impacted a lot of persistencies in the company. Persistency is something which is measured by all the companies, and is one of the big parameters which is also looked up, especially in the 3 top listed companies which are there today in the market. So out of the life insurance companies, 3 which are listed, this becomes a very important parameter. And this again got impacted. Maturities got impacted because the regulator came and said that you have to give an option about settlement or one time. So we had to contact each and every the most important thing which I think all the companies, and irrespective of whether it is insurance or otherwise, was moving the entire working from an office environment to a work from home environment. And this had to happen in a absolute shortest time. For example, I can tell you in 72 hours, we had to move the entire working of the critical functions from office environment to work from home, including treasury, online treasury also, which had to be moved. So that was the kind of impact this pandemic had on the entire working, and where I think this is the time when every segment, every sector understood the real power of IT, the real power of digital. Okay, and yes, in life insurance, April and May were low periods in terms of business, but June again it picked up and it started moving on. So now you see new things coming up, new methodologies of sales coming through digital sales. Digital not typically means where you go on the website and start selling, but where people are not face to face, but they like today we are doing this interview. People trying to contact their known people through these kind of mediums and trying to sell and trying to do a sale. So these are some of the new innovative things that have come up over a period of time. And I'm sure in the coming year, I think there will be a huge dramatic change in the IT and digital landscape of life insurance companies.
Absolutely. I'll come back to you. Now I'll move to Ms. Patil. As Mr. Pejaru was saying that, the last 4 months were really very difficult and challenging. And there seems to be some demand picking up in June and July thereafter. What we have noticing, not only in the insurance sector, even in the government organization, that despite the fact that last 4 months to be really challenging, it's also accelerated, the digital transformation agenda for the IT people. I mean, people who are not getting approval for a lot of stuff initially. And that somehow, so could you share from your organization point of as to how the last 4 months has been, and what kind of innovation you did?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you very much for having me on this discussion. It's my absolute pleasure to be here. I think Anandji has very aptly put to how all of us got impacted, and more so the insurance industry. So if I were to classify the impact, okay, he mentioned there was an impact on how do we work, the employees work remotely. That was the first impact. Two is how do we actually have non-face-to-face interactions with our customers?
Right.
How do we engage our distributors completely remotely, digitally? How do we give the customers the experience that they want? And renewals and maturity are two things that he did mention, but otherwise also. How do we continue in that space when we are not really working from the office? And the last impact was, of course, on the cost, because as the economy got impacted, there was an impact on cost. And see, digital has been an imperative for us and most of the insurance companies and other companies also for quite some time. Technology has been at the heart of many of the initiatives that we have been taking. But actually now we are seeing a change that now businesses are demanding, because they have realized that without this, they are not going to be able to survive. I'll take an example of each of the segments that I spoke about. Remote working. So I think 4 years ago, we started implementing virtual desktops, and we had VPN with two-factor authentication, all certified, security certified, and tools already available to let people work from home. Technology support teams were working from home, especially over the holidays or weekends. And we also work with some part-time underwriters, and such a critical function also always worked from home. Our BCP was also working from home. Okay, we never looked at an alternate location. So while all that was done, nobody ever at that time, I mean, we were trying to push, but nobody said that it's okay for employees to work from home. So now everybody realized that that is the way to go. So the demand has increased in everywhere. Okay? People are therefore willing to co-create. Okay. Earlier, I mean, there would be a few digital natives within the business functions. They would work with us and create some digital solutions. But now we are seeing more and more co-creation happening. What we are also seeing is the adoption. And I mean, we don't have to really struggle. Otherwise, earlier, it would be, I mean, after a project is implemented, we would run a separate project to ensure that the adoption goes up, okay? Conduct training, give some soft incentives and ensure, try and sell what we have built. Now it is the other way around. They are wanting more and more. That is the other change that has happened. But the fourth change is really from a customer point of view, is that there were two broad digital initiatives from a customer point of view that we were taking. One was direct to customer, which Anandji mentioned, which is the digital sales as we call it. And the other is the distributor led, and for which we were taking a lot of technology initiatives to enable the distribution channels to sell to the customer.
Right.
Now, what we are seeing is that the customer is being a part of that distributor led journey also. Uh, and that is a very big change. So many of the solutions that we are building are also touching the customer, but the journey is led by the distributor. The other area is from an employee point of view. We were fortunate to implement an app last year in the month of October for employees. So employees could mark attendance, could check their leaves, do everything on an app, and that helped us during this journey. We also have a learning solution which also helped us, okay, not only to train, handhold our employees, but also our distributors.
Yes, yes. I'll come back to you again, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll move to Mr. Goel. Two of our speakers spoke about as to how the last 4 months have been for the industry, and there is a broader understanding that yes, it was challenging, but the digital transformation agenda of many CIOs and technology leaders were slightly quicker, and because of the condition. From you, I would like to understand. One thing is very sure now: the expectation of the board from the CIO would be provide a kind of digital, pathway for reimagining the distribution and possibly, empowering the different channels. For example, your sales, your customer, and your last mile delivery also. So could you share something based on your experience as to how we can reimagine the distribution for the insurance sector, which is really, really important?
Yes, as you rightly said, the pandemic has really brought digital center stage. So as much as in the boardroom discussions, it's a favorite topic these days. At Tata AIA, we've been fortunate that even before the pandemic hit us, digital had been something that we always believed gives us an advantage. And it had largely been focused towards making things simpler for our customers as well as our distributors. Now, we're a true multi-channel organization. So we've got, excuse me, we've got a proprietary sales force, which is agency, and then we've got multiple bank partnerships. So the way we had approached it all along had been bringing technology and digital to cater to needs of these different distribution channels. Now, as the pandemic has hit us, while we've had for a long time multiple digital platforms for the seller to sell, the need has slightly changed now, wherein a lot of the sale has to happen remotely. I think we must give a lot of credit to the regulators in India. When we sit in our global discussions, we see a lot of countries faced challenges in getting a remote selling platform approved from the regulators, whereas we've had that approved many, many years back, where we could do remote selling through our digital platforms already. So that came in really handy. Now, as everyone started using video in their normal life as well, that is gradually becoming a way of life in business also. So both from a sourcing standpoint, onboarding standpoint, everything that's getting used. The other aspect of reimagining distribution also is, how do you prospect? So far, prospecting was really, you go out in the market and then identify where there's going to be a need. Now, a lot of prospecting has moved to digital channels, and that's where we're pushing it quite a lot, either be it from social media or in fact, even using the sellers' primary and tertiary networks, again, leveraging social there. So that's the other aspect of, how do we reimagine distribution in the new world that's coming up. Finally, it is about creating the right ecosystem that again is supported through technology. So that's the last aspect of distribution reimagination that we've been looking at right now.
Now I'll move to Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph, digital, easier said than done. I mean, especially at a time when, especially for the insurance sector, because it's not about buying, it's about selling. I mean, insurance primarily you said. So what can we do at different level of distribution, different level of selling, to ensure that the people who were supposed to sell one-to-one meeting, they are able to actually replicate some level of that empathy and connect with the customer?
I would start it this way. People, operations and technology will need to evolve rapidly in response to this pandemic. So there has been a significant, disruption for the workforce really, with the way, severe pressure on normal teaming or sales activities and any human interactions, we have seen earlier before the pandemic to now. So the crisis will accelerate the plan for digital transformation, not just technologies or tools infused it, but it changes a key function such as sales, your services, claim, and all across the distribution channel per se, which was probably not looked at in a very serious manner. So the value could be significant for insurers such as whether it's life or general or health insurers. It would be realized in the form of a lower cost and of course higher operational efficiency. That's where all this is going to get realized in the books. So the richer customer data that must be leveraged during this time to find more insight and to be personalizing the offering or recommendation to the customer to maximize the potentials or for increasing the revenues. So ultimately, such visibility of a specific customer can happen or deepen the broader understanding of the customer and the relationship. So where do we find a new customer in this situations? So it is to ensure that we be there for their families, our customers, dependents, and ensure that we are keeping that relationship and understanding their needs, whether it is health insurance or protection part. Those is the important part which I see. So what I also could see is there is an emergence of new products line possibilities in the entire industry. One is about how can we ensure protection plus health. So both can be merged and offered, and I'm sure in the going forward, it is going to be absolutely advisory based and need based selling compared to the earlier basic product selling. So these are the big change. The bottom line is on this particular point, what I want to say is take care of customer requirements. Okay. And even if you want to take anything about customer, first we need to ensure that our workforce is taken care and have a right technology in place for them.
Mr. Biswas, I'll come to you. What Mr. Joseph said is the product innovation. I mean, that is the one challenge which is coming to CIOs also. Now there is an expectation that the CIO will provide technology platform on which the product innovation could take place and time to market get reduced from 3 months to 15 days, right? But for sure that most of the life insurance organization, they are old, they have invested a lot of money, millions and millions in their legacy system. And it is really difficult, primarily to overall in one night and 15 days. And it has to be organic, a gradual process. You have worked larger part of your career in the sales force, basically. And since last 2 years, I believe you also have a responsibility of IT. Can you tell us as to how we can bridge this gap? I mean, how we can reduce the product innovation time with the help of IT resources within insurance organization?
I think given the new environment and with this pandemic setting in, I think the rules of engagement have changed. And as my distinguished panelists have just mentioned, everything is being aligned to the customer need. So as we speak, insurance largely, as Anand mentioned, is a distribution-led stuff. And essentially, it's the face-to-face channel. Now, face-to-face is now a new name. It is face-to-face, but it is virtual. So at the end of the day, it's the customer centricity which is driving it obviously used to drive IT transformation, since the beginning. But I think this has probably hastened that and accelerated the transformation process. Now, I think customer satisfaction, as you know, is the biggest driver of customer loyalty and thereby retention, and which has a direct correlation to the persistency, as Anand mentioned, and obviously the net promoter score. So I think what happens is the customer centricity process. So all the process leading to customer centricity is to maximize the benefit of the customer across the entire value chain. Now, by the entire value chain, I mean from the solicitation of the prospect, onboarding as a customer, underwriting, and then finally policy issuance. Now, the insurer must have a robust digital front end. As you know, I mean, everything is now digital, including e-KYC. Now we have a video KYC, which the regulators have approved, including RBI and IRDA. It has to be a very robust digital front end with an equally versatile core backend, which is a policy admin system to provide a world-class customer experience. Now, the digital front end is not mutually exclusive. It is actually It actually complements the core admin platform. Now, this is critical for a seamless, scalable, customer-centric IT platform. Now, obviously, to your question that what drives the transformation in terms of, so everybody in the insurance industry, and not necessarily in India, across APAC and even globally, they struggle with the core admin platform, which is a legacy platform, which is essentially now a system of record. Now, I think the biggest driver is the culture of the organization. So essentially, the decision to kind of modernize or replace a policy admin platform is not necessarily a single day, a single month decision. It actually takes time. So you need to kind of do a full transformation journey, and everybody has to be aligned, including the CEO, the IT, the CIOs, and obviously the board. So I think investment is one in terms of, it's a massive investment. It's millions of dollars to replace or modernize the core platform. But I think what drives the decision is the long-term benefit. So there is a long-term return on investments, and also time to market. Mostly the products, if insurance company launches a product, the legacy platform system will take 4 to 6 months to kind of get the product up and running. That is something which is absolutely crazy in this sort of a dynamic environment. So all of this put together, I think the biggest driver is the mindset and the customer centricity, which drives any IT transformation project. I'm happy to say that we see traction in Equisoft, and I have run distribution and sales throughout my life in insurance, retail banking, but for the last 1.5 years, been in this IT role. So I think what is happening is we see traction across India, across APAC, where people are thinking, and this is accelerating. So there are projects going on where they're looking at full-fledged IT transformation from the front end to the back end system. So I think that is what is the key for the entire system to work seamlessly.
Absolutely. I'll come back to you again. Now I'll move to Mr. Pejawar. Mr. Pejawar, Mr. Biswas was focusing on a couple of things, and he mentioned about the customer experience. I mean, and for customer experience in the insurance sector, possibly it was a bit higher. When you are meeting one-to-one, you can explain about the product. There will be empathy part also. There will be a connection. And most of people were selling that way. In digital, I mean, that's also getting an appointment over VC would be a challenge with most of the customer for a salesperson. I mean, we have to be a bit honest. And then from the board point of view, there is always expectation as to how my technology leaders could help me pass through this pandemic, wherein, the sales has gone down. So you have to also look at the cost factor. Obviously, you can't go overboard and modernize everything in 15 days. So how do we balance this dichotomy of 3-4 things that as a technology leader in insurance sector, you are supposed to bring down the, product to market time from 6 months or 3 months to 15 days, so that some innovation could happen and, the company is able to get something. And you also empower your sales force that they should be able to replicate, the touch of physical with the speed of digital.
See, one thing I think we have to understand is this pandemic has thrown up all the challenges that all my co-panelists have put up. But the biggest challenge that it has brought in front of us is the expectations of the customer. And we see a huge change. Earlier I was heading the marketing, sales and marketing for almost 13 years. Before 3 years back, I moved into IT operations and international business. And you see the way how people expectations on the product. Just take a simple question of a product. Life insurance up till now was always a long-term product. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whole life. These were the tenures of the product that is there. Now people talk of 28 days life insurance product. They talk of a 3 months life insurance product. They talk of a 6 months life insurance product. So I'm reminded of this about 20, 25 years back. We used to have a big bottle of shampoo, which we used to bring at home. Suddenly it became into a small thing, and now it has come into a sachet kind of a thing. Now people are talking of sachet insurance. Okay, so the expectations have changed to that level. Look at from the expectations, and all these expectations are putting huge amount of challenge on the digital IT and operations of the organization. Now managing operations and IT, I can tell you, just look at a simple thing of what the expectation is. Somebody goes on Amazon, somebody goes on a Flipkart and buys insurance. Okay, and they don't bifurcate or they don't think this is a group product, this is an individual product. Okay, if Flipkart can give me this, why can't you give me this? If Amazon can give me this, why can't you give me this? So that's the expectation of the customer today. Okay. Now look at it, how companies have to face this challenge, as rightly said by Rana, not just by the front end sales, but equally strong by the processes which are laid down to take care of the front end digital sales. Now today, 100% of the life insurance business, I can tell you, companies are doing digital sales. And digital is, you may call it by any name. You may call it, go on your own on website and buy. You can have an assisted model. You can give various names, but finally it's on a digital platform. Just about couple of days back, IRDA came and said even wet signature is not required. So look at the kind of thinking even the regulator is having to make this thing much more easier and simpler for a sale to happen. Now, in spite of this, if my back-end operations is not in a position to manage the kind of business that is there, you'll end up into a big problem. For example, the biggest thing we have seen is the ticket size of the insurance going down after the pandemic has happened. Now, when we realized why it is so, people don't want to go and get themselves medically examined for life insurance, large policies to happen. They are not confident, the DC, the diagnostic center may be safe enough, or they might get infected with COVID and all that stuff. So all of us moved to, tele-MER and video MER and all that. But even those have got certain limitations as far as sum assureds are concerned. So I don't see too much of high value business coming in the next, at least this financial year, on the sum assured side, where the risk has to be, too big. But yes, NOPs will grow. The moment NOPs grow with smaller number of sum assured and smaller number of premiums, the pressure on the operations grow. When the pressure on the operations go and people are working from home, there is overall pressure on issuance that is going to come up. So these are all interrelated kinds of problems which come purely out of expectations of the customer. The customer today expects that the moment my account is debited, or if I make a payment for my new business premium to happen, my insurance policy should land up on my email, or maybe on a WhatsApp, or maybe on a mail. At the same time, the biggest challenge that all of us in the insurance industry, especially in the life insurance industry, are facing is huge amount of information security challenges that we have to face. Anti-selection, which is happening. These huge amount of frauds which are happening in various places in large groups, where you have to manage the stuff and try to ensure that you underwrite the right kind of risk at the right kind of time with the right amount. Now, these are certain challenges which also go along with the expectations. So yes, from the customer point of view, speed, as rightly said by you, how quick can this product be offered, how customer friendly this product is, and how I am in a position to give the best possible service, even in this pandemic area, be it a maturity claim, be it a survival benefit, be it a death claim, or as simple as changing my nomination.
Absolutely.
They expect it to happen at a click of a button. And that's what I think the other industry players, like I just mentioned about some of these online marketeers who do this kind of business, every customer expects life insurance also to change. And yes, there have been changes in this industry, maybe not to that extent which people expect, but trying to match or bridge the gap between the expectations and what we have in the industry.
Now I'll move to Ms. Patil. As Mr. Pejawar was mentioning about, there are platform like airline platform, or maybe Ola and Uber, and people are able to buy quite easily. Also, what we have noticed in the traditional setup, when you buy a product, insurance product, and let's say it is for the 10 years. So initially for 15 days, there is a lot of to and fro between the company and the customer. And once everything is settled, almost for 5 years or 10 years, if something is not there in between, there is hardly any communication between the customer. That means your touch points are very limited. That means you are not connected. And even your ability to oversell or maybe sell something on that is very limited. Can we use some type of technology, maybe from emerging techs like AI, machine learning, or anything, to ensure that we do have, from time to time, some level of feed going to the customer and they are connected and then possibly are able to do certain thing on that? One is that. And second, I would like to focus you on what Mr. Pejawar said about the cybersecurity part, because a lot of fraud is also happening. That means our own internal mechanism has to be strengthened in terms of our ability to write things, our ability to approve things. Ma'am, if you can unmute yourself.
See, what the pandemic has taught us, that the products have to be simple, but the processes also have to be equally simple, right? And that is when we compare ourselves with Amazon, we can compare ourselves with a mutual fund, okay, a SIP. So not only the product is a sachet product, but you can just do two clicks on the website and the product is yours. And I think AI can play a very, very big role there as well. Okay, how do you ensure that the processes are simple? Because we are underwriting risk in that space. How could you use artificial intelligence to first find out whether the risk is acceptable or not? Two is, in the process of buying insurance, lot of information we seek from the customer. How do we use AI, maybe external data analytics, to ensure that we have the right data from alternate sources so that the customer doesn't have to actually fill in these things. So AI has many use cases. You mentioned about how do we reach the customer. Okay? Now, first is, there is a need for certain customers to reach out to us. Maybe if they've not taken an annual premium paying policy or not a single premium policy, they would reach out to us. And we are seeing that during the pandemic situation, the awareness about customers and interest in what they have has increased. So customers may want to reach out to us. So how do we make us available, and how do we use AI to give the service that the customer wants at his doorstep? So AI, so chat bots, maybe on WhatsApp, you could have some NLP based things, servicing options in regional languages, all that is possible. The next one, you asked me about how do we cross-sell, upsell, and also remain in touch with the customer. And we are running these analytical models today, like perhaps my co-panelists also are, to identify what is the risk coverage, what is the profile of the customer. So what is the best persona to sell? What is the kind of insurance that we should sell? What is the sum assured that the person will sell? And what is the best time to sell? And then basis which the lead gets allocated to a person, so that, and we start this journey with an engagement call with the customer. That's one way in which we are engaging with the customer and also trying to sell, to ensure that the customer is adequately covered. The other one is that we run a lot of campaigns for the customers, which are just engagement campaigns. And during this pandemic, actually, we sent millions of messages and emails to our customers, not because we wanted to cross-sell, not because they wanted to come to us, but we just wanted to remain engaged with them. And that is something that we periodically do. Maybe wish on birthdays, maybe talk about something, educate them. In the pandemic, we have also found another way of reaching out to customers and engaging with them, and that is webinars. Like you are doing these webinars, actually we are using webinars very extensively in reaching and engaging our distributors and reaching and engaging with our customers. Now I'll quickly move on to the cybersecurity side. Yes, cybersecurity has always been critical for us. One, because of course we carry a lot of sensitive information about customer, demographic information, financial, and also medical. And of course, we are also a regulated industry. So I think all of us have been focusing on this. But like this pandemic has brought the focus of the boards on digital, the focus of the boards and the management has also come on cybersecurity more than it was before. It is helping us to drive the agenda better. Uh, and see, all along we have said that we will not launch anything in a hurry with a compromise on security. Security has to be a part of the process. It is not going to be bolted on, but it has to be built in. Like I said, VPN always with the two-factor authentication. After the pandemic, there were so many requests that I got, can we move the desktops home? I said no, because you will carry the data home. So that is one thing. Endpoints are becoming very important. And we know that malware attacks, ransomware attacks have really increased. And we are implementing also endpoint ETDR now. Artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. One needs to look at artificial intelligence also in the context of cybersecurity and look at MDRs, and which also we are working on.
Now I'll move to Mr. Sachin. Both of our speakers mentioned about so how it is really important to have the robust cybersecurity framework. And so I would like to understand something from you on the omni-channel experience, which is the broader part of customer experience. So most of the banks, and I believe the insurance organization, they are using some level of omni-channel. I mean, they are providing something to the customer despite the fact which method and which medium he or she is choosing to connect with. Can we do some innovation? Can we bring more virtual capabilities on the omni-channel experience part? Would you like to share something on that part?
Absolutely. In the current times, and always, we have to be where the customer is. I mean, if it's not easy for the customer to reach out to us or get the information that they need or get the services that they're looking for, you stand to lose that customer. Current times clearly call for some innovation in that space, bringing in newer technologies. I'm sure a lot of companies in the industry are already doing that, which is bring in WhatsApp as a medium. So from the time that WhatsApp started, WhatsApp for Business, that's become a very good platform because, as you're aware, in India, pretty much everyone is on WhatsApp, and that's a very, very convenient platform for customers to get information. So that's there. That's very, very handy. We've got a fairly well-established customer portal. That's an easy way to reach out to us and get information pretty much on a self-service basis. There are chatbots that a lot of us use, where again you're not dependent on when the agent's available, what time of the day or which day of the week, etc. It's available all the time. That again is ease for the customer. With a lot of these plethora of options that are there, I mean, what we're seeing is we used to typically run at about 82 to 84% of self-service. During the pandemic, we've seen that number soar to over 90%. So a lot of that has moved to self-service. The final thing really is, I mean, people are getting used to Google Home or Alexa, Siri, etc. I think that's where some of these things are moving, where, your customer service can become completely effortless to the extent of just talking to one of your devices and getting information. Of course, what comes in that place also is the aspect of cybersecurity, so that you make sure that whoever's interacting with the device is the actual rightful owner of the information that is being asked for. That aspect absolutely comes into place. So yes, in terms of innovations, a lot is happening largely around emerging technologies, which is what should make it easier for customers to interact with organizations like ours.
I'll go to Mr. Rana Biswas. Earlier, you were talking about the front end and the back end, and how actually we need to empower and bolster both of them. Would you like to share maybe 1 or 2 points as to what we can do to ensure that we do have a strong backend, which is able to possibly power our front end in more easier way?
The policy admin platform is the core, or shall I say, the heart and soul or the brain of an insurance company. Like the core banking system is for a banking or for a bank. Now, to actually have a scalable, robust, and a world-class platform, one needs to actually look at modular approach. So it's a modular approach where you have various functions in a modular system. So you have underwriting, you have new business coming in, then the underwriting, then you have the actuarial calculations or the actual calculation engines that is called in the insurance parlance. And then you have those customer interactions, those renewal letters, intimations, and all of that. So all of these are actually in a modular form. Now, a world-class modular platform, what we actually implement, and we are the largest implementers for Oracle, so OIPA. We have a proprietary front-end tools that I mentioned earlier. Now, for policy admin platform implementation, first of all, it is all about taking a decision from an insurance side or from the insurer taking a decision that it's time to now modernize or replace, because somebody can feel 15 years is the right time, somebody can feel 20 years. We've had customers who have had policy legacy platform for 30 years. So I think the first decision is to understand what are the drivers of PAS or policy admin replacement, which I kind of highlighted in the last discussion. And then how does it kind of affect the business, the ROI of the going forward business? Now, that's a very tricky call because you need to actually assess this for the next 10 to 15 years. So it depends on a lot of factors, including the new business volumes. The most important, Ujale, is the efficiency and productivity that it brings. Right. Now, a legacy platform is always low because a lot of things have been integrated over the last 20 years or 25 years. And when you start afresh and you have a much better, robust platform, you have efficiency built into the system. So a straight-through process or a complicated process, complicated in the sense an underwriting process which would require additional medicals, high-value policies. Right. So those turnaround times are crunched. Absolutely. So you have those efficiency flowing through. This is a pass-through. And this is not only for the year, it is for the long run, for the 10, 15, 20 years. So one needs to actually get those factored into the ROI calculation. It's a very difficult exercise. For a want of a better word, it's not impossible. Absolutely. And this is a process which the CIOs, along with the business, and let me also reiterate one thing, the business and the stakeholders is very important. So it's not only the CIOs who take that call, it is also the business people, the chief distribution officer, the head of underwriting. These are people who actually get together and take the call that if I were to double my sales, will my back-end productivity stall? What Anand mentioned, because this too has to work in tandem and seamless. So I think those are the biggest drivers and the factors which actually kind of are the facilitators for PAS modernization.
Mr. Joseph, would you like to add anything on bolstering the capability, virtual capabilities for the insurance sector, especially in times of COVID-19?
I think many things are covered, but only way to arrest this, the spike on the larger call volumes, or probably handle it's only, a model or a AI ML based technology has to be there. Without that, I don't think, you can handle these volumes in the new, post pandemic situations. But I want to basically short term, technology which we need to look at is, one thing is it has to be cloud born. I mean, you can't work on a very heavy infrastructure. They need to be need based, and it has to be elastic, based on the demand base, I call it as. So, and introducing smart technologies, and very important for flexing, I call it as flexing workforce. I mean, even IT team who's actually supporting can be flexi based on demand.
Absolutely.
So IT efficiency is only, I mean, it's efficiency or resiliency, both has to be going hand in hand. Whereas we used to focus on efficiency earlier, now we need to add one more called how resilient we are building entire infrastructure or maybe entire application landscape.
Right.
And maybe the last one which I just want to add is basically, how do we look at the capacity constraint on the critical processes?
Right.
Do we ensure a guaranteed service level to the business that here it is, any demand I can take care of it, probably whether it's backend or I don't differentiate backend or front end. Right. So that could be the way we need to architect our entire IT services. I don't call it as IT infra security or this. Finally, these IT services must have all this what we discussed today.
I absolutely agree with you that especially in this time or any time, the industry has to be resilient enough. It has to have agile, scalable solutions, and so that it should be able to empower the different stakeholders within the community. We have already exhausted our time, so thank you so much for being such a wonderful panelist, sharing your views on as to how the insurance sector is mitigating this challenge of COVID-19 and the kind of innovation you people are bringing to the community per se. Thank you so much once again for being such a wonderful panelist. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for guiding us through these difficult times, and we encourage the audience to continue to engage with us on social media using the hashtag ETBFSI Converge. So keep interacting with us using the comment box to clear any of your doubts with our speakers and team of experts. Stay with us.